Welcome back. It is a nice Wednesday evening, and that means it's time for another installment of Inside the Helmet. My name is Michael, and joining me once again is my dad.
Happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday, April 15th, everybody. Do your taxes or don't. I'm not responsible for you. Um,
Do my taxes. How about that?
yeah.
Anybody want to volunteer?
I don't have taxes to do, so anyway, we're not talking about taxes here on the podcast as much as I'm sure our audience wants that. Maybe next year we'll do a tax segment. Maybe we'll run out
Maybe
of ideas.
maybe not. I think I'll sit that one out.
Yeah, like you sat last week out. Um, anyway, uh, with the NFL draft
Called
approach,
load management, I think. The NBA players do it.
yeah, I'm not giving you MVP if you keep that up. Um, maybe you mentioned the NBA. Maybe that's a good segment uh, to address another time. The NBA. We haven't really talked about basketball, but we're not doing that today either.
Because they don't wear helmets.
That's true. I mean, you can cut open a basketball and put it on your head. It'd be close enough.
Yeah.
Anyway, with the NFL draft approaching, I've actually been asked if we're going to do a mock draft, and honestly, I mean, I always kind of just shrug the question off, but not really planning on it.
Yeah, I mean, to do a mock draft and not just have it be a joke, you really have to
Mm-hmm.
study the
Yeah.
players and the teams and the needs and all that. And yeah, I mean, life's got other
There's
things happening.
already like 1,000 other people with their own little unsuccessful internet show that do a mock draft and expect people to take them seriously. There's just
I
no
think I
need.
think we should do an anti mock draft.
Maybe, yeah. I think with the first pick, the Raiders are gonna they're gonna select the casket of Ken Stabler.
Yeah, I mean that would be probably more fun.
Maybe, yeah.
I'm not even sure.
With the
Not even sure who
20th
has
pick, the
the
Dallas Cowboys select Clark Kent.
right.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe one of these days we'll talk about just kind of go through. There's 32 teams, so we'd have
Mm-hmm.
to dedicate some time to it. But we could talk
Yeah.
about, okay, who's the greatest player in the history of this team?
Yeah.
And I mean, there could be some debates
Mm-hmm. And there's
between.
plenty of off season. I'm sure we'll have time.
Well, I say that because I think I
Mm-hmm.
saw that recently on social media.
Hmm.
Somebody had that debate, and they had
Yeah.
put their choices
I've
for all
seen those.
the
Yeah.
different teams. And the reason it caught my eye was because I of course immediately said, well, who do they say is the greatest Dallas Cowboy?
Mm-hmm.
I want to see if they agreed with me, and they did. It
Yeah.
was number 12. Um, the incomparable Captain America, Roger Staubach,
Mm-hmm.
who there's just not ever been, nor will there ever be,
That
a
really
player like
speaks
that.
to how great of a player and how well respected Roger Staubach is. That the
Yeah.
Cowboys literally have the all-time leading rusher. They have a player who is the all-time leader in a major statistical category, and they're not the greatest player in the franchise's history.
Yeah, and a good guy. I mean, you're talking
Mm-hmm.
about Emmett Smith, and Emmett's never been in any trouble, and he's a nice, good
Mm-hmm.
guy, and everything else. But there's
Yeah.
just
There ain't
it's
no one
weird,
like
man. I
Roger.
mean, some teams, football, baseball, basketball, whatever it may be, have got that one guy that just the
Mm-hmm.
fans absolutely fall in love with,
Mm-hmm.
and you just can't. I don't care if their statistics are not as good as people who come after them.
Mm-hmm.
They are the face of the franchise,
Yeah.
and you know. Anyway, I mean,
Anyway, yeah.
we
So,
could do a whole show about Roger Staubach. Come on, let's.
of course, yeah. We
Yeah.
need to kind of get to meat and bones of what we're actually going to start off with here, and I mean, segue right into it. Roger Staubach's the quarterback. We're going to talk about the quarterbacks who are coming out of the in the NFL draft in this
Yeah,
draft class, but
the top
not
the
not.
top two
Mhm.
quarterback picks are named Ho and Hum.
Yeah, pretty much. I keep seeing people online talking about how this quarterback class, kind of how this draft class, in a lot of ways, is very underwhelming, and they've been saying that about the past few quarterback classes, with a few exceptions.
By
Caleb
the way,
Williams
tell
got his
tell the
buzz.
audience who the top two quarterbacks are.
So yeah, the kind of consensus top two quarterbacks, and there's actually lately been a little more controversy of which order to put them in. But for us, I think that it's still clear that the incumbent Heisman Trophy winner and national champion out of Indiana, Fernando Mendoza, is the likely choice and logical choice to go first overall to a very quarterback needy organization, with Alabama's Ty Simpson being the second best option.
Yeah, I hope Fernando Mendoza puts in a call to. Uh, uh, I always forget. It's not Derek Carr. It's
Hmm?
the one that got drafted by the Texans. Derek
David
Carr
Carr?
was the Raiders. David Carr. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, David Carr, number one pick, went to the Texans. Had no offensive line. Had 70
Yeah.
something sacks in a season.
Mm-hmm.
Um, sorry, Mendoza. You had a great
He had a
all-time
great
year
year in
last
college,
year.
but it
Yeah,
was only downhill
I
from here.
don't think he's going to enjoy being drafted by the Raiders. Although I'll say this: they were making a good point on a show I watched the other day, where they said, you know what, they brought in um, uh, uh, yeah, names escaping me. You like that? Um,
Kirk Cousins.
thank you, Kirk Cousins. They signed
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins the other day, and to be a mentor and maybe take
It was
some
like
early
2 weeks ago.
snaps.
We talked about that, didn't we?
I don't think we did.
I thought we did.
Um, well,
I could have sworn
maybe,
we
but
did. It was like 2 weeks ago.
yeah. Well, either way, they brought in Kirk Cousins, and they
Mm-hmm.
also have Tom Brady uh,
Yeah, it was like part of the
working with
ownership.
their quarterbacks,
Mm-hmm.
and so they're on the optimistic side. You're going,
Mm-hmm.
oh, this guy's going to be really prepared because Cousins and Brady, good grief, being your mentors and showing you how to prepare and film study and all that. That's got to be better than if you're on a team that doesn't have those guys.
Certainly.
So anyway,
Mm-hmm.
I still say talent wise, Mendoza, nice kid,
Mm-hmm.
made some big plays, won a championship and a Heisman Trophy.
Mm-hmm.
Ty Simpson, jeez, I just don't have anything in the tank for him at all
And the most
that
that
makes me excited.
Yeah, I mean, he honestly kind of feels like another one of those like plug and play Alabama quarterbacks. Obviously, the Saban era is well and truly over, but still,
Yeah.
Alabama is still Alabama. They still have the reputation from the Saban era, and so you'll still see flashes and bits and pieces of that kind of similarity now and then, and Ty Simpson, kind of in a way as well. Fernando Mendoza, they don't now. Obviously, credit to these guys. I would be fully happy if they come into the league and absolutely blow it away and win a shelf full of MVPs each and Super Bowls and make me eat my words. But both of them kind of feel like an AJ McCarron, kind of safe pick, good college
A little bit.
quarterback, not necessarily, going to knock your socks off in the NFL, not that high of a ceiling, but won't come in and just
Not that low of a basement.
exactly, not
Yeah.
expecting them to come in and set new records or anything, but be kind of consistent, kind of be that Kirk Cousins. You can win with them
Are
if
you
you
old
give them the
enough
right
to
pieces.
remember? Are you old enough to remember? Probably not. If you were born, you were like baby
Mhm.
or something. Jamarcus Russell. I
I
know
mean,
you
I
know the
don't
name. I know
remember
you
it
know the
in
name.
like in real time, even though I was alive for like his college career and short
Yeah,
NFL career. But
he
I,
was
I mean,
he
I
was the he
know
was the
about
guy.
him. and
I
all
mean, he
that.
was a guy. Yeah, he played at LSU. He
Mm-hmm.
was he had a really beautiful deep ball
Hmm.
at LSU, and his receivers were really good at going and getting the deep ball. And he was a tall, 240-pound
Yeah.
quarterback, really solidly built with a big arm, and he did really
Mm-hmm.
well at LSU. And so the Raiders drafted him
Mm-hmm.
first overall, and he came in. And the thing that they didn't know about Jamarcus Russell,
Lazy.
as it turns out, was that he was the guy who had just gotten by on the fact that he was a big, strong armed quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
And he was not into film study and all the stuff that it takes to really be great. And the story that I heard that really solidified that,
Mm-hmm.
it came out years after he got bounced out of the league, was that the Raiders knew he wasn't doing his homework, right?
Okay.
And so they sent him home with tapes to watch. I think this is back in the day of VHS. Uh,
Mm-hmm. I know where you're
and they
going with
sent him
this.
home. You've heard the story.
Mm-hmm.
And they sent him home, and then the next day they asked him, "So what'd you think about the tapes?" And he was trying to just kind of hem and haw his way through it and make up stuff. Well, I thought it was really interesting the way the defense did this and that. They had sent blank tapes home
Mm-hmm.
with him, and this was proof he wasn't even watching the tapes. And this guy got bounced out. I think he was out of the league in 3 years.
Yeah.
And so our overall question tonight is, if you're drafting a player number one or drafting a quarterback, period, in the first round,
Mm-hmm.
how is it that, I mean, there's number one picks who go on to the Hall of Fame. Troy
Certainly.
Aikman,
And
Peyton
Peyton
Manning,
Manning, John
I mean,
Elway,
John Elway, and
Troy Aikman.
then there's the Jamarcus Russells of the
Mm-hmm.
world, the Tim Couches of the world. There's a number of, so being drafted number one doesn't even mean you're going to be good. And
Yeah.
then you could be drafted really high in the first round, like RG3 was, and set the world on fire as a rookie, and then get hurt.
Mm-hmm.
There's just there's It's not an exact science. And then you can find a really good quarterback in the fourth round or the fifth round, or what was Brady, the seventh round.
Yeah, it
Dak
was sixth
Prescott
round.
was the fourth round. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you never know. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Especially with quarterbacks, it's so weird about all the different dynamics that it takes to make up. If you're trying to draft, obviously, if you have a top five pick and you're going for a quarterback, you're looking for a Hall of Famer.
Certainly.
You know, not just a Super Bowl winner. You're looking for a franchise builder for the next 12 years
Mm-hmm.
that you can build your team around. Maybe 15 years if you're lucky when it comes to injuries.
Yeah.
And they invest a lot of money these days in these guys. I remember reading. Not to get too far off the topic, but I remember reading Drew Pearson's autobiography, and they talked about how after he had, you know, practically led the league in receiving or whatever early in his career, the Cowboys offered him, I don't know, $25,000 a year or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
whatever it was. Nowadays, the rookies that come in, if you're in the first round, for sure, maybe even now in the second round, I haven't really looked at it, but if you're
Mm-hmm.
signed in the first round of the NFL draft, you go from having, it used to be you went from having no money to being a millionaire overnight. Nowadays with NIL
Yeah.
and everything, they talk about, well, gee, if you leave college early, you're going to take a pay cut.
Yeah.
But so there's so much money involved now. And you would think with all the scouting, with all of the, I don't know, would you rather have a guy with all of the physical tools but kind of a questionable work ethic, right? Who's already
Mm-hmm.
made a lot of money in college
Yeah.
and you don't even know about his leadership? Or would you rather have the scrappy guy who probably has a ceiling on his talent, but he's a gym rat, as they call him,
Mm-hmm.
loves working out, natural leader? I mean, there's so many things for teams to weigh nowadays.
Yeah. I mean, certainly you go with the second option. I don't know if you were really wanting me to answer that question. It seems kind of obvious the way you painted it. Who the better
Well,
decision is?
that's the attorney in me. I, I I
Did you
tend
just give
to
away what you do?
build one side. Have we never talked about that?
No, you specifically left it up for people to guess.
Oh, well, all right. Cat's out of the bag. Yeah. So I've been an attorney for 23 years. And you
Nice,
know,
and I've been alive for 21.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
And 3/4, almost.
yeah. So yep, there it is.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and as long as we're talking, before that, I did radio news
Mm-hmm.
for about 5 years,
I think we have
early in
talked a
my
little bit about your broadcasting experience. The
back in
fact that
my
you,
20s.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think you mentioned that you interviewed Sammy Baugh.
Yeah, I did on the
Mm-hmm.
telephone.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
But yeah, no, I had 5 years in
Mm-hmm.
my back in my 20s doing radio news, and
Mm-hmm.
was fortunate. We
So, like
won
back when
some.
they first invented the radio, just so you know.
Sure, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Marconi and the rest of
Yeah.
us. Um, yeah, I mean, I was fortunate to be at some good radio stations, and we won some awards and recognition and all of that, and just I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
needed a new challenge, so I went to law school. So
Mm-hmm.
happy I did. Obviously, it worked out pretty well.
Yeah. What I kind of wanted to get into with talking about these young quarterbacks, and I kind of wanted to open up a little more broadly, not just talk about Fernando Mendoza and Ty Simpson, people that kind of are looking at them and then looking at the rest of the class behind them with even less impressed looks, um, and going, well, I mean, these guys just don't have the like. People throw around the word aura. Lately, it's become more of a slang word, like, oh, this guy just lost aura if he like does something embarrassing. But like the genuine aura that people have. I mean, Peyton Manning walks into a room and you're like, oh my god, that's Peyton Manning. Like that's
Right,
a Hall of Famer.
right.
You kind of look back on NFL history and you look at someone like John Elway and you're like, well, yeah, certainly you know the history and you know what he accomplished over his career, but you can kind of look, and even trying to look past his actual accomplishments, you can look at the guy and go, yeah, that dude was gonna be in the Hall of Fame. And then you look at someone like Jamarcus Russell, and you're like, yeah, that dude looks like a loser.
Yeah,
So you
I
can
mean,
kind of tell. And it feels like with these recent quarterbacks, none of them have that aura. They're like, this is a Hall of Famer. This is going to be one of the best players to ever play the game of football. And I think a lot of that honestly comes down to all this NIL crap, all this like flimsy people honestly being selfish and simply jumping around from team to team, school to school, just what can I get right now?
just
What
looking for their best deal. Yeah,
exactly? Where can I
they.
make the most money? Where can I immediately get on the field? There isn't this process. Tom Brady put it really well when he talked about this one time. I saw a clip where he talked about how people want just to play for a team. They want to play for a school. But when he was in Michigan, of course, when he came into Michigan, he was like the seventh quarterback on the roster and all that, and he had to work his way up. He was a part of an organization. He was a part of a
Being
program.
seventh quarterback on a roster is tough, isn't it? Um, I mean, that's
I
got to
have
be
no
tough
idea what
for
that's like.
that's got to be tough for
Hmm.
for Brady. But um, when you talk about the aura, uh, I remember learning about that as a very young fan, and
Hmm.
they would talk about. I'm sure there were more than this, but Bobby Lane was one of them.
Hmm.
He's a quarterback for the Lions,
Yeah.
way back when, and Johnny Unitas were known for this ability to walk into the huddle and just everybody believed. And then once I actually became a fan and started watching, that was one of the biggest things they talked about with, sorry to
Certainly.
go back to the name, with Staubach,
Hmm.
was just that your whole team felt that he never lost, he just ran out of time. If he had more
Yeah.
time, he would have won every game.
Hmm.
And There's something about that position, and I don't know. These days,
Yeah.
you don't you see it sometimes. I mean,
Mhm.
just to pull a name out of the hat, Patrick Mahomes has it in spades.
Of
You
course.
know, he walks in. Aaron Rodgers had it, and maybe now that he's
Yeah,
a
now he's like
little bit older,
41 and
yeah, he probably
questionable
doesn't
if he's
have
even
it
going to return or.
anymore. But I think if I'm looking to build around a quarterback,
Mhm.
he's got to have that it factor in the huddle.
Mhm.
He's got to have command. He's got to have uh, the ability to elevate. They talk about that in basketball with a point guard, the ability to make
Yeah.
the people around you better. And I think with a quarterback, yeah, it's skills, but it's also attitude.
Mhm. I think it's skills. I agree. Even more so, it is attitude. It's who among these quarterbacks, who among these people are going to put the interest of the team, of the program, above their own interest, instead, and actually stick with it and make themselves better and make everybody around them better, rather than just jumping ship to the new hot thing that they can kind of
and having a
piggyback the
little
success on.
and having a little bit of fire, which is
Hmm.
actually the thing that has always impressed me. I'm just going to throw a name out there
Hmm.
about Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
Baker Mayfield is not to go into long into his story, but a dude who walked on at two D1 schools and became the starter, won the Heisman Trophy, first pick in the draft.
Hmm.
Um, just as scrappy, as you could possibly be, and cares.
Yeah.
He actually cares and gets upset when he throws an interception. You see some guys out there, they throw a pick and they go, well, it happens. Or
Mhm.
even worse, they blame everything except themselves.
That's the worst.
I mean, sometimes it's not their fault, in
Hmm.
their defense, but still. Um,
So someone who like fails to take accountability for their own mistakes in any position in any sport is
yeah.
already just something that makes me want to go, yeah, I'm not taking you seriously. I'm not rooting for you to succeed. I don't want you on my side.
And on the
But
flip side, I mean, I hate to be critical of
mhm.
a guy that I actually like and respect and think he has a lot of game, but some guys go the opposite.
Mhm.
Um, and I'm talking about Dak Prescott. It's like
It puts too much
somehow
blame
or
on
another,
himself.
somehow or another, he programmed it into his brain that it's honorable to take the blame and all that, which it is.
It is.
But I've seen Dak Prescott post game where
Mhm.
he threw a crucial pick or something like that, and it's very clear that the receiver ran the wrong route,
Mhm.
and he's just like, well, I'm not going to throw my teammate under the bus, and I respect his honor,
Mhm.
but at the same time, sometimes you got to be like the name that pops out at me who mostly got it right with that was Dan Marino.
Mhm.
And I think Dan Marino was overrated, by the way, but Dan Marino would get up at the press conference, and if it was truly his fault, he would say, "Yep, that one's on me." And if it was the receiver's fault, Dan Marino would gently call out his teammate.
Mhm.
He was kind of known for being just, hey, look, I'm going to tell you the truth on this particular play. Sometimes it's his fault, sometimes it's my fault. And he really kind of played that the most honest that I've ever seen. So,
Yeah.
but anyway, we could talk about quarterbacks all night.
Of
I
course.
know you want to have time to fit in your racing segment and then our little challenge. So
Yeah.
let's move to that.
Not a whole lot, obviously, as we're still dealing with this 5 week gap between races, thanks to the races in Bahrain and Saudi Arabia being canceled due to conflict and tensions and just overall danger in that area of the world. So smart to not try and host sporting events with missiles flying around everywhere. So we're still waiting for the beginning of May when we're underway in Miami. So the only news that we have is that out of the Red Bull camp, I spoke on it some last week, just on my own here. but Max Verstappen's race engineer, Gian Piero Lambiase, or GP as they call him, so I'm going to call him that. But GP is someone who's been very crucial to kind of the background inner workings of the team, and specifically to Max Verstappen's success, because he is the guy who's directly like on the radio during the race, or just whenever Max is in the car, giving him communication, listening to Max whenever he has feedback and all that. Just that's the most direct line of communication. He's the guy who like has the direct line to Max in the car to help support him and help him out. Essentially, kind of give him little, coaching tips on things that they're noticing, because on the computers there on the pit wall, they have all the data. If his tires are showing unusual wear, or like if there's a particular sector in the track where he is, maybe losing some time, they'll feed him that information. And anyway, GP, it came out last week or something like that that he has signed a contract with McLaren to go join them for the 2028 season. So he's not leaving immediately, but after the 2027 season, GP will leave Red Bull and go over to McLaren, where he will have greater career opportunities. He won't just be a certain driver's like race engineer speaking to them. He'll actually have a bigger paycheck, of course, and greater responsibilities that could leave him open to a future as like a team principal, which think of that as like the head coach. And think of like the race engineer, I guess, as like your, I don't know, like your quarterback coach, more or less.
Okay.
Wow.
So yeah, so he's leaving, which it's just another piece of the Red Bull puzzle that has been falling apart in the last year or two. And it's just incredible to see Red Bull and how they had built up slowly. Of course, they were dominant in the early 2010s with Sebastian Vettel, with him winning 4 drivers' championships. Red Bull won, I think they also won the Constructors' Championship every year that he won the drivers. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe it wasn't a perfect 4-4. But anyway, then they kind of fell behind Mercedes with the new regulations. But then they built back up. And then, of course, had another era of dominance with Max Verstappen, winning him 4 drivers' championships in a row and taking 2 constructors' championships there in the middle as well in 2022 and 23. And now they're falling apart. Christian Horner is left. Helmut Marko, who is like the old geezer behind the scenes, pretty controversial figure, honestly. He was mostly responsible for like the drivers themselves. Think of him like the Jerry Jones of the operation.
Yeah.
He was there forever. A lot of controversy.
By the way, the definition of old geezer is always 15 years older than me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, I think he's even older than that.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Okay.
Christian Horner left amid his own controversies. Adrian Newey left, of course, the technical mastermind. Jonathan Wheatley, another key person in the staff. Just people are leaving. The Red Bull ship is falling apart. And of course, this is reflected now with the new regulations. The car is not there. The car is not there. Max has not been able to be there up at the front fighting for the wins like he's been doing almost his whole career. So it's just very unfortunate. And now there are, new stories coming out about Red Bull have a strategist named Hannah Schmitz, who has been with the team for a while, and Ferrari are supposedly trying to get in contact with her to pull her away from the Red Bull ship as well. So just key pieces are kind of just dropping here and there, and it's kind of just making Red Bull fall apart. And throughout all this, even throughout different teammates of his being there, Max Verstappen has been there, sticking through it all, and it just seems like he's been there. He's been loyal to them throughout. Obviously, this is kind of the worst that they've ever been in his time there. Max wasn't there for the very beginning of Red Bull back in the mid to late 2000s when they were pretty bad, when they were a brand new team. Well, they took over the Jaguar team, but anyway, they were really bad when the Red Bull Formula One team was first conceived. But then, for the past decade, even when they've been behind Mercedes, when Mercedes was all dominant with Lewis Hamilton in the 2010s and such, Red Bull were usually, at worst, like fourth fastest, and Max was still able to do what he does and find ways to pull things out of nowhere and even bring a sometimes lackluster car to the front where, it frankly wouldn't be in the hands of other drivers. But even still, like Max has never been put in a car quite as bad as the one he's in right now.
Mm.
And so, with everything kind of falling apart, it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good for Max's future with Red Bull, maybe in Formula One at all. The things that he's been saying in interviews about how he doesn't like the regulations, how he doesn't like how his car is bad, and all that. It's not enjoyable for him. It's not just like, oh, I'm slow, oh, the car sucks. Like just the style of racing that Formula One is entertaining right now with this whole battery nonsense. It's not enjoyable.
Yeah.
And so, sorry.
No, finish your thought.
So yeah, I feel like GP leaving is like probably the final nail in the coffin. That's kind of my opinion. That like, if I'm Max Verstappen, once GP is gone, if I'm even still there tolerating a bad car, tolerating bad regulations, I'm gone. Once GP leaves, I'm not putting up with this team having been turned inside out. No one that was there when I got in there is still there anymore. I'm out of here. I'm gonna either go find another team and kind of have a fresh restart there, or I'm gonna leave F1 entirely and go do other series in racing that I actually enjoy doing. So as a Max Verstappen fan, obviously it's very unfortunate to see all of this kind of crumbling around him, but it's not like he has anything left to prove. It's not like he's in a position like Charles Leclerc where he's like been almost there, or he's like kind of been on the outside looking in and never really had the right situation around him to be able to achieve that success. Max has achieved all the success anyone could ever dream of, and so it's not like he'll ever be laying in bed at night wondering what could have been. He's not going to do that.
Right.
So, but obviously, as a Max fan and as a Formula One fan, I'd be very sad to see him go and retire from Formula One, or even just it would look weird seeing him in a different team's like racing suit.
Sure.
Seeing him in a McLaren suit, a Mercedes suit, a Ferrari, whatever, wherever he would theoretically go, it'd be weird. It'd be like seeing Emmitt Smith on the Cardinals, but
Speaking of Emmitt Smith, that leads us to our third and final segment.
It certainly does. You're welcome.
Yeah, nice segue. So, not sure how long. I mean, I don't want to like do this all night.
Fire.
We could sort of rapid fire. So obviously, as lifelong Dallas Cowboy fans, both of us, our challenge tonight is simply name Dallas Cowboy players, and I should win this because I've been a fan for decades longer than you. I should have a deeper well to draw from.
Yeah, we're just doing this so that you. But
you've got this weird. You've got this weird, nearly photographic memory thing going on. so it's a little bit of a challenge.
It's called
Uh,
Sporkle. It's a website where you
yeah.
can do created quizzes. It's what I do when I get bored in class.
Mm, okay, well, no, pay attention to your classes and make good grades.
Yeah.
But uh, but yeah, I mean, this should be interesting to see. So the challenge is name former or current Dallas Cowboys and see who runs out first. And
Are
there's
we
got to
just
be,
doing players?
yeah. I mean,
Okay, and they could have been. What are the parameters? Like, I assume I'm not gonna like draw any names that like were only ever on the practice squad. Like, just they
no, these were
played in a
these were
game.
these were starters. I mean, clearly.
Okay, like,
Um,
but like you're not gonna punish me if I say Lance Allworth because he's not known for being a cowboy.
well, he was known for being a Charger,
But he was a
but
cowboy.
he did play on the Cowboys.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe so that we don't just exhaust ourselves and find ourselves 2 hours later still going through a list.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we limit it to a position, or either offense or defense.
We'll go offense. That's gonna be the side that has the most like notable names.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah. So
all
Cowboys
right.
offensive players. Because if we just
Cowboys
do one
offensive player.
position, then like that's not going to take very long. We'll probably run
Well,
out. Not that we'll actually run out of names to use, but like we're going to run out of people to say.
yeah. Okay. All right. Cowboys offensive. Should we do all offensive players or just skill players?
No, all offensive. I mean, we'll
All right,
show
you're
some love
gonna
to the O linemen.
okay. All right.
Yeah.
You want to go first?
Yes. I will not take any of the people that you'd probably be upset if I mentioned. So I will say Danny White.
Well, I don't mind if you talk about the guy who preceded him because you've worn his number before, and
Mm-hmm.
that's okay. So I'm most associated with number 88, so I'm going to go with the original 88, Drew Pearson.
Okay, and I'll say the man that preceded, in a way, the man that you're referring to, without naming yet, Craig Morton.
Huh. Okay. Since you're dancing around that one, I'm going to
Mhm.
stick with my 88s for a while, and I'm going to go with Michael Irvin.
We're gonna mess around and forget that we still hadn't said him. Don Meredith.
Okay. I mean, since you're mentioning, I'm still kind of stuck on the 88, so
Mm.
I'll stick with Des Bryant.
I'm gonna steal an 88 from you, CeeDee Lamb.
Okay, fair enough. Um, I think that with I mean, I could get stuck on the 88s and everything, but we mentioned his name as the segue here, so I got to take the all-time leading
Hmm.
rusher, Emmett Smith.
Okay. Um, then I'm gonna keep on the maybe more obscure polls. You know, not really the people you think of when you think of Dallas Cowboys quarterbacks. I'm gonna say Jason Garrett.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, he did play.
I gave you all the opportunity in the world to say this,
Mm-hmm.
and since you didn't take number 12,
Mm-hmm.
we just can't go any further without saying
Mm-hmm.
the all-time greatest Cowboy, Roger Staubach.
Yeah. I was letting you have it.
Yeah, I was trying to let you have it. So,
Okay. Um. Well, in that case, I'll just say Troy Aikman.
fair enough. Um, so if you're going with that, then I will go with Jason Witten.
Okay. I will say Drew Bledsoe.
Okay. And the guy who came after him, of course, was Tony Romo.
Mm-hmm. Excuse me. And I'll say the guy that came after him, Dak Prescott, our current starter.
Yeah, and his great running back for a while, Ezekiel Elliott.
Mm-hmm. And then current running back, Javante Williams.
Yeah, and the the first great Cowboys running back that I personally saw, Tony Dorsett.
Mm-hmm. I'll pull another, not quite as well known, but may he rest in peace, Marion Barber.
Yeah, he was great for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the tight end who played during the '80s and was really good with Danny White, Doug Cosby.
Okay. I'll pull a name that maybe some people didn't really realize played for the Cowboys. More known for playing for the Bears, and maybe even most well known for coaching the Bears. But he actually caught a touchdown from Roger Staubach in the Super Bowl, Mike Ditka.
Yeah, that's very true. There was also a guy who was really well known for playing for one of the Cowboys' enemies who finished his career with the Cowboys, a 6'7" wide receiver named Harold
Hmm.
Carmichael.
And another Eagle who found his way over to Dallas in Randall Cunningham.
He actually did, yes.
War number 7.
Yeah, the Cowboys before the Drew Bledsoe and Tony Romo era actually made the playoffs with a Georgia quarterback who they drafted and looked like he might be okay until he got into some questionable activities named Quincy Carter.
I was thinking about naming him. And so I'll actually I'll say Cooper Rush.
Oh, jeez.
One
You're
of Dak's
reaching.
backups.
Yeah,
I'm
you're
just
reaching
trying to
there.
name as many quarterbacks as I can think of.
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
funny.
it's easier to kind of go by position.
Mhm.
So the very first Dallas Cowboys quarterback was Eddie LeBaron.
Really? I feel like I've
Yeah,
heard that name. I didn't
he
realize he
was
was
like
the first.
5'6".
Huh.
He. I mean, the Cowboys were an expansion
Yeah.
franchise, and you know,
Yeah.
he was like a Doug Flutie type player.
Mm,
Good player, but really short.
yeah. I'll throw out an O lineman. Why not? Tyron Smith.
Okay. Since we're switching to O lineman here briefly, I want to talk about one I just saw on the news today that passed away. It was the Cowboys under Staubach's his center, John Fitzgerald.
I saw that yesterday, actually.
Yeah,
Yeah. It said he passed away at 77, so I immediately kind of knew he was Staubach's center.
yeah,
Um,
he went to Boston College, I believe.
wow. Well, speaking of great Cowboys centers, we got to talk about Travis Frederick.
Yeah, Travis Frederick was a great one, and Aikman's center during all the Super Bowl wins was Mark Stepnoski. Well,
Okay.
two of the three.
Okay. Speaking of Aikman's teammates, we got to talk about Moose Johnston.
Oh, of course. Right before Aikman, because I'm kind of stuck on tight ends, I got to go with Jay Saldy.
Okay, and still staying on tight ends, Jay Novacek.
Yeah, Novacek was awesome back during his time. So the original '88 we always say is Drew Pearson, but
He was.
Drew will tell you it was actually Pettis Norman
Mm-hmm.
who did not have a memorable career, but you know Drew will point that out. I've met and interviewed and talked to Drew on a handful of occasions over the years, and he would be the first to tell you that.
Yeah, I had known that there was someone before Drew who wore 88, but I never knew the name. So that's interesting. I'll throw a name out that I already said, Lance Allworth.
Yeah, mostly known for playing with the Chargers.
He did.
The
He
first,
did have a star on his
yeah,
helmet.
the first great Dallas Cowboys wide receiver, though, the fastest man on the planet at the time, who won an Olympic gold medal, Bob Hayes.
And then someone who I guess they probably didn't play together. They both of these players' careers overlapped with Staubach's, I believe. But I think Bob Hayes was more at the beginning of Staubach's career, while this guy, Tony Dorsett, found himself with Staubach in his latter years.
I already said Dorsett.
Did you?
I did.
Oh, I didn't realize. Okay. Herschel Walker.
Yeah. Okay.
I was sitting here
But then,
thinking, how have we not said Dorsett yet?
right. Well, since you mentioned it, Tony, opposite of Drew Pearson on the other side was a great wide receiver from Stanford who made a lot of plays named Tony Hill.
Okay. And while we're talking about wide receivers who kind of played in that era, Bud Dupree. Wasn't
Okay.
he the one that caught that long touchdown from Staubach that probably
Nope.
wouldn't be ruled a
Nope.
catch? No, he wasn't the one that caught that? Oh.
No. Sorry. In fact, I'm not sure that Bud Dupree was ever a Dallas Cowboy.
Then what? Who am I
Does
thinking of?
that mean I won? If you name somebody who was not,
Bud Dupree. Okay, who am I thinking of? Because Bud Dupree
well,
is
I
a
can tell you who you're.
33-year-old linebacker for the
I could.
Steelers or something.
Yeah. So
Okay.
if you guess the wrong name, then I win.
Okay.
And especially if
Was
I
it
can
like
name
Billy
who.
Joe Dupree? Who am I thinking of?
Okay, you're mixing it up. Billy Joe Dupree, number 89,
Yes, I'm
was.
thinking of Billy Joe Dupree.
But
Okay.
wait, but wait.
I'm not
His
saying that that counts for me. I'm just
he
trying
was
to
he
clarify
was
who I was thinking of.
yeah. Well, but you're mixing. No, that's not who you were thinking of. Even though you came up with the name,
Okay.
he was number 89, tight
Yes.
end for Roger Staubach,
Okay.
and he was a really good tight end for them, and
Okay.
also a nice guy. I also got to interview him back when I
Wow.
was in the media one time.
Hmm.
Kind of quiet but nice guy. What you're thinking of is the play in the Denver Super Bowl
I am. Yes.
with the guy who dove for the ball. He was the wide receiver number 3, and his name was Butch Johnson,
Okay.
number
Yeah.
86.
Why I don't know what. Okay,
You
86.
mixed
I
up Butch
thought of the
Johnson
number
and Billy Joe
89.
Dupree. Yeah, well that was Billy Joe Dupree's number.
Yeah, I know
Butch
that. I looked him up
Butch
to
was number
verify that that was a real
86.
person.
Yeah, Butch was number 86. When you
Okay.
said Bud Dupree, I thought, wait a minute, that's not a cowboy.
To be fair, Bud
So
Dupree is a football player, so I didn't pull that name out of nowhere.
no, but you lost.
I have lost.
And
Congratulations.
I wasn't close to done because I mean I could name Dallas Cowboys offensive linemen from the 1970s.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
I couldn't see. I lost not because I ran out of names to name, but just because I got one wrong. It's the funny
yeah,
thing.
yeah. I mean, you were thinking of Butch Johnson, and
I was
we didn't
thinking of
even get
Butch Johnson, but
we
with
did
the name Billy Joe Dupree, but I got the name wrong.
yeah we didn't get to Golden Richards, Doug
Mm-hmm.
Donnelly. We didn't get to Robert Newhouse. We didn't get to Calvin Hill, Dwayne Thomas, Don
I
Meredith.
almost said Alvin Harper. I should have just gone with that.
Yeah, Harper was opposite Irvin.
I know.
Don Meredith, who
I said Don
fam-
Meredith.
no, I don't think you did.
I did. It
I
was pretty early
well,
on. I did.
maybe it was
It
fast.
was the
Okay,
third one I
I
said.
was I was waiting for
I went.
I was waiting for with Don Meredith. I was thinking maybe I wasn't paying attention, but I
Mhm.
was thinking that if you got stuck, that I'd throw out Don Meredith because his little famous Monday night shtick that he would do when he realized the game was over is he would do a little verse. He would go, "Turn out the lights, the party's over," and that was sort of the
Mhm.
announcement to the audience that Don Meredith thought, "Okay, the game has been decided."
Hmm.
And I was kind of holding that in my back pocket. I must have
Ah.
missed when you said Don Meredith.
Yeah, I think
Um,
he was the third one I mentioned because I think I went Danny White, Craig Morton, Don Meredith. You know who I didn't mention because I kept forgetting his name was the guy who punched Roger.
oh, Clint Longley.
Thank you. I
Yeah, the quarterback from Abilene Christian.
that's why I had the letter
Yeah,
A in my head because it's like
yeah,
Abilene, Abilene. Like
yeah. Yep. I mean, so many great Dallas Cowboys. I mean, I could have gone on Timmy Newsome, Ron Springs. They were both great running backs for the Cowboys. Um, not just the obvious ones who have their names up on the Ring of Honor and all that kind of stuff.
I need to spend
So
more time doing Sporkle quizzes on Dallas Cowboys, not
I
Formula
could have
One.
pulled Doug Dennison out of my hat, number 21 for the Roger Staubach Cowboys.
Yeah, but who won the
Um,
F1 World Championship in 1974?
Bud Dupree. I
No, it's
don't know.
Emerson Fittipaldi.
Okay, well, I've actually heard that name, but
I think
you know
because I
what?
said it 2 weeks ago. Because we
No,
got
I've no,
to.
I mean, I've actually remember hearing that name before.
Hmm.
But if I was walking down the street and Emerson Fittipaldi was walking toward me, I
Mm-hmm.
would have no clue.
Yeah, fair.
Even if he had a shirt that said "I'm Emerson Fittipaldi," I would go. I would go. I've heard that name, but I don't even know what you do. I
Hmm.
just are you a politician or something? I don't
Hmm.
know. So anyway,
How old is he?
Emerson Fittipaldi. Whew.
He is
Wow.
73. He's 79 years old.
Yeah. I
Well,
mean, dude's been around a while. I mean,
he's almost enough to run for American office.
well, yeah, that's a whole other
He's
discussion.
almost
So
old enough to be a congressman.
there you go. All right.
Hmm.
Well,
There
so
you
I
go.
won.
There's our
The
bombshell to end on.
yeah, the bottom no, the bombshell, the bottom line is finally in one of our competitions, I won.
All right. So next time,
So
so
I
next week we're gonna come up with something that I can beat you in again.
you're assuming I'm coming back next week. Now that I've won, I might pull a John Elway and quit while I'm on top, right? Go out a winner.
Yeah, I guess it did take you nearly 20 years to beat me. So it is about
We've
your
only
time.
done this. We've only done this competition for 3 weeks,
Say
man.
John Elway. I mean, he retired not because he finally won, but because he was like he was like 37.
Well, he also won back to back,
Exactly. Like
and
I mean,
he
if he had
and
won
he.
back to back when he was 25, then I mean, he wouldn't have retired there.
Well, true, age was a part of it, but I think he also looked at the roster
Mm-hmm.
and said, "What are the odds of coming back and winning three in a row?" And it was
Zero,
not
because no one's ever done it in
well.
the
It was
NFL.
also not good based upon
Mm-hmm.
just the dynamics of the team and who was going
And
to
he
be
was
re-signed.
39, and this was well before Tom Brady, and so
Right.
like George Blanda was the only real one to ever play well into
Oh,
his
give me a
40s, and he was
break.
a punter.
Yeah, I was going to say
Mm-hmm.
everybody brings up Blanda. He played into his
And
40s.
he was the
Uh,
all-time interception thrown leader at the time.
yeah. I
Mm, still
mean,
second all-time.
credit that the dude played in the NFL for a long time, and I played 0 days in the NFL, so I mean, credit for that
Mm-hmm.
and respect. But come on,
Yeah.
Blanda was not
Well, I
that
mentioned
memorable of a
Blanda
player.
to mention that like at the time when Elway retired, that was like the only real example of people playing well into their 40s
That's
still
true.
in the NFL. And Blanda kind of has an asterisk with that because he was a punter and he wasn't playing at a super high level in his 40s. But now
Right.
you look at people like Tom Brady, who,
And Aaron Rodgers, and yeah, I
mhm,
mean, it's not
yeah,
uncommon for these guys to
to
play
do it
into their
now. But at the
40s
time John
and still
Elway
do it at a
retired,
pretty high level.
at the
Yeah.
time John Elway retired, he very well could have been a top 10 oldest player in the league.
Right.
So,
So anyway, oh well.
anyway,
We could segue into different stuff, but
hmm
you know,
we're wrapping it
we
up.
probably we need to wrap it up tonight.
All right. Well, thank you for tuning in once again to Inside the Helmet. Hope you've enjoyed, and we'll be back next week.
Well, maybe I might still want to go out on top.
I'll
So
drag you back.
God bless everybody.
See ya.